What's up, my brothers? Rich Cooper here. I want to have a conversation about how women can keep men. I do this podcast called Ladies Night, and I was watching this video series the other day by another YouTuber, and I don't usually shout out to other creators because I'll be honest with you, a lot of them don't give very good advice, but this guy is a psychologist, and he had a 3-part series on how to get and keep the guy that you want. Orion Taraband's his name, and below in the description, I'll post the links to the videos. But I wanted to talk about these 3 very important concepts. Again, this is for the ladies. I think guys right now will be nodding their heads going, yep. But the 3 things that will get and keep a guy, important, to note. Getting a guy is not that hard. You just basically have to be sexually available for him. But to keep him is a little bit more work. And I think women really struggle because they've been told these days to go out there and never really do anything for the express pleasure or benefit of a man. And that leaves guys kind of like wondering, does this chick even like me? Does this chick dig my vibe? Like what's going on here? Without further ado, what the 3 areas were that Taraband sort of isolated were very simply, 1, be useful, 2, doing the most disgusting and sluttiest, nastiest things that you can in the bedroom, or his words exactly, and I'm going to expand on that in a minute. And 3, to never be disrespectful, or to not be disrespectful. The first one, I think, is very, very important because being useful often starts to go on the decline in a relationship as it develops and evolves. I've seen women in my past be useful and then slowly become less and less useful as time goes on, either because it's a matter of convenience for them, or they become lazy, or maybe entitled. It's difficult to sort of take all these ingredients and put it in a blender and turn it on and pour out the exact detailed reasons why. But I think the point that Orion makes with being useful is incredibly important, but to take it further, it's into perpetuity. You see, if I have a gal and in the early stages where she's trying to claim me, right? She doesn't want to share me. She wants to claim me. She wants to have that talk. Rich, where do we stand? I dig your vibe, that sort of stuff. And I'm sitting there going, okay, she's actually pretty awesome because, hey, she'll get up in the morning and she'll make my bed before she leaves, and she'll empty the dishwasher. And, if she's around and I'm busy working on something, she might actually take the initiative to go and do a load of laundry or 2. Things like that are incredibly useful. And I think one of the things that women do is they'll do this in the early stages to sort of get your attention, to get in, to get past the bouncer or the gatekeeper, but they slowly over time start to get lazy and they'll start to pull back. Like maybe they do a whole bunch of things for you, but they slowly start to peel back. They'll make you dinner, but they don't take care of, putting the dishes inside the dishwasher. Or in the past, when she saw a pile of laundry, she'd take care of it. Now she doesn't even touch it. She just sort of walks past it. So I think it's incredibly important for women to understand, and for guys to also maintain those boundaries. Remember, guys, it's okay for you to tell women, look, what got you in the door, you need to keep doing that to stay in the door. I think that's a very clear and overt and concise way of explaining it, should they need it explained. And trust me, sometimes you'll need to clarify those boundaries. But being useful cannot just be at the beginning. It needs to extend into perpetuity throughout the life of that relationship. Because when a woman is no longer useful to a man and she provides use early on, why would you want to keep her around? This is also one of the many reasons why you generally, guys, if you love a woman, you don't want her to move into your house with you or you to move in together. I'll put a card up for a video that I covered on that one in a little more detail you can check out after this video. All right, the second thing was he was talking about being the nastiest, sluttiest version of yourself that you've never done with any other guy, that you'll only ever do with him. You understand what I'm saying here? Now, I think that on a scale of 0 to 100%, most women will think that they've done enough in that area. She'll be like, well, we have a lot of sex and it's plenty, so you should be happy. And that might be like 75 or 85% of it. But if you haven't gone all the way, and other women in the guy's past sexually have gone all the way and done things that you're unwilling to do, then you're not really capturing his attention and keeping him in your orbit very easily. There's a stand-up comic, I don't know if it was Chris Rock or Tucker, but in one of his routines, he was talking about how women don't like to go back financially, right? So if they meet a guy and he's got a bus pass, he won't go back to a guy without a bus pass. Or if she had a guy with a bus pass, the next guy has a car. The guy with the car, next time he's got a luxury car or a sports car or more than one car, for example. So women tend to go up economically as they sort of move through life and they understand the dynamics of relationships and the kind of guys that they're capable of locking down, whereas men never really seem to want to go back sexually. So with that being said, ladies, if you're watching, You need to be able to give him exactly what he wants in the bedroom, not to, oh, well, we just have a lot of sex, because frequency does not equate intensity, okay? Or what I like to call genuine burning desire. When a man has genuine burning desire from a woman, we know it. It's like taking a frying pan to the forehead. It is very, very obvious to us. It's like, wow, that chick really digs my vibe because she did this, that, and the other thing. Now, some guys will overtly state what they like. Some women will need to ask. Some guys will dance around the bush. The easiest scenario, the most convenient scenario, if she does it organically. She digs your vibe so much, she's got such strong, genuine burning desire for you, that she will literally do anything in the bedroom for you, provided it's not hurting herself or anybody else. Literally do anything up until that point of, hurt or damage in that sense, where, there's injury being occurred, should be fair game. And again, women will usually kind of stop you like, oh, the frequency is good. Again, frequency does not equate intensity. So make sure, ladies, as you're contemplating this, if you really dig the guy's vibe and you like him, make sure you're satisfying him in that area. One of the things that I always tell guys is, if a gal's talking to you about something sexually, and then she says, well, I don't do that, I always tell guys in their head to add "with me" in it. Because if I'm talking to a girl about something that I like to do, and she's like, oh, well, I don't do that, then in my head, I'm automatically going "with me," because I know that she'll do it with some other guy. See, women will, again, legit do anything in the bedroom to satisfy a guy that they have genuine burning desire for, up into, personal injury for themselves or anybody else is fair game. Up into that really should not be off the table. You understand what I'm saying? Again, number 2, sexual intimacy, but intensity, not frequency. Intensity is what matters to his satisfaction. And then the third and last thing that Taraban talked about was not being disrespectful. And I think he makes some really good points in his video, but again, I want to go a little bit further down the rabbit hole. Not being disrespectful extends to all areas of that relationship throughout time. If there's one thing that men cannot stand at all about a woman, is if she comes across as disrespectful, entitled, overly bratty, has an inability to regulate her emotions, throwing hissy fits. These sorts of things can really grind a guy's gears. When we start dealing with a gal who might be useful in our lives, who might give us everything in the bedroom, all of that can get thrown out the window completely if she starts, rolling her eyes and raising her voice and throwing hissy fits because she doesn't get her way, or overtly state something disrespectful to us. We will never forget that. It'll always be in our mind and it'll never go away. So it's incredibly important, ladies, for you to be impeccable with your word. There's a book out there called The 4 Agreements, and one of the agreements that he talks about is being impeccable with your word in your language. It's incredibly important to understand. It is probably the most important tool in retaining a guy and keeping him for as long as possible and having desire for you and looking after you and loving you and doing all that sort of stuff that gals always want from a guy, right? If you're single, the reason why you're single is you're not doing these 3 things. If you're doing 1 or 2 of these things, that's a start, but doing all 3 of these things is incredibly important if you want to keep a guy over the long term in your orbit and not letting it decline. You cannot let your usefulness decline. You can't let the level of sexual intimacy and the depth of it and the strength of it decline. Again, frequency does not equate intensity. So you have to make sure these things, go into perpetuity, including the respect that you have for him. Now, this is why I always tell guys that it's really, really important for them to always chase excellence, not women, to focus on themselves, putting a little dent in the universe, doing something of some significance and importance, and growing every year, 1 year after the other. I always say you're either growing or dying as a guy. You really can't stand still. Take a look at nature. Take a look at trees. Trees are always growing every year. That's why there's always another ring in the trunk of the tree. As soon as those rings stop adding, the tree's dead. Right? You as a guy can't relax, unfortunately. So again, guys, you have to go out there, you have to put a dent in the universe, you have to do something of some use with yourself. Be a strong, successful, useful guy for yourself and to the people around you in your inner circle. Again, I always say draw a perimeter around those you love, protect them. Don't worry about them, worry about us on the inside. Guys, you let me know what you think in the comments below, the gals as well. Is this something that you've contemplated or willing to adopt? You disagree with me? Throw a comment below. There's also a bunch of useful links in the top pinned comment. Make sure you check them out, to my book, the Unplugged Alpha podcast, and a bunch of other stuff. See you guys later. Peace out.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up.